Hello, my name is Veronica and welcome into the Learning Lab. And in today's lab, I'd like to do a card share, and this time it's the Easter cards that I made this year. So come on in and we'll get started. Now the opening scene you just saw showed these cards in the back that I made, but they went into the mail like this, and they were actually an easel card that I made. And I just thought, how clever is that for my recipients? Now on the back, I did use a stamp back here, and that is what went out with all of my cards this year. So I want to show you a little bit about what I did to get to this particular stage. Starting out, I used these cards that were a hot buy at Michael's. And I love the colors, knew I wanted to use them. So what I did, and I put them on my trimmer and I just cut them all in half. And there they are. Now the only color card that I didn't show you was this really dark pink, and that's because I put them all in envelopes and they are ready to go into the mail. But this was the basis for the start of my cards. So once I took this and cut it in half, I wound up with a huge stack of cards. So I took this one and put it through the egg embossing folder, and when I did, it just looked so dull. So I thought, well, let me jazz it up just a little bit. And so I took some of this Tattered Angels Cherry Glimmer Mist and I spritzed it. Still wasn't very happy. So then I took my Spectrum Noir glitter pen and I started to glitter in some of the eggs. Let's see if I can get a shot of the glitter. And I still was kind of like, I don't know that I'm that happy with it. So then I went to my Tim Holtz Distress inks, and for the really dark pink, which was this color, I used the Pick Raspberry. But for this one, I used the Worn lipstick, and actually I think I kind of went back and forth. And I just took one of my finger daubers and started working on some of these eggs. At first, I was doing a really light touch on them, and then I thought, most of this is going to be covered, so who cares? And I just started going crazy inking these eggs. And if I went over just a little bit, it was okay, because again, most of it was going to be covered. So some I went lightly, some I went really heavy on. But suffice it to say that when you do, you're going to get a beautiful glittered effect like I did on here. So let me apologize right now for not being able to find my Spellbinder cross dies. There were two that I was considering, and once I laid this on, I went with it. And it's just cut out of some of the regular white Recollections paper. Now, these jewels are the ones that I decided to put inside of there on just about all of them. Now, for some, I didn't quite have the color that I needed. And especially for the pink one that I was just going over, I really didn't have that color gemstone. So what I did was took my little sample that I did eons ago, and some of the colors are not even in here, and I just pulled out the ones that were kind of in the family that I thought I wanted, and I just started laying it against that pink. And when I looked, this CR4 was really close to the color of the pink that I needed. So I took that and I colored in some of these stones, the white ones, to match that color. And I also did that with a turquoise one, blue turquoise I needed for this one. As you can see, this gemstone is not on here. So I debated between BT7 and BT8 as to which color would be the best, and BT7 won out by a landslide. So I just took one of the clear color ones and colored that in with my Spectrum Noir alcohol markers. And now the next thing that I want to share on here is this little piece going across the bottom. This actually came from the Shapeabilities Persian Accents, and I use this piece. And when I started cutting this, let me just tell you, it was giving me the absolute blues trying to get it out of here. So I did go ahead and use some wax paper in there, and that just made this thing lift out totally like butter. And then the one thing I did was I just kept the wax paper in there, and I just kept putting my other paper in and running it through until I could no longer get any use out of that piece of wax paper. Then once it was done, I took this piece and I just simply cut it in half. And I just cut it in half between these two pieces on the edge because I knew I was going to trim this. So I had one where this went all the way to the end over the black. Actually, I think I did 5 of them. Decided I didn't like that look because that's what it would have looked like going all the way to the end, and it went over the edges of the pink. So what I did was, once I glued it down using my Quickie glue pen, which is how I started out, but then I switched over to this little nozzle tip bottle and I trimmed them off and got that. So now the next thing that's left are these lovely little bunnies. Now these bunnies came from a set that I purchased at Tuesday Morning. And I have to tell you that when I got them, I was elated because they were a set that came from Archivers. And because it had the matching die with it, I was just chuffed to get it. So I did. Here's the problem. And these are just 2 that I stamped and trimmed myself, just so when I want to know what they look like on a project, I can just lift them off, take them to my project, and decide how they're going to be. It would have been wise if I had done these as a mask on some masking paper, but I didn't. Okay, here's a problem with this framelit. These don't fit, these little bunny rabbits don't fit inside. Because if you look here, when you're getting ready to cut, they don't line up. And if you look at these, they both face the same direction, which I think was a misstep again. How simple would that have been for them to flip that around and do the mirror image of it so that the bunnies could face the same direction if you wanted. But I was able to achieve that by using my MISTI. Let me show you what I did. Now, because I knew I wanted the reverse image, I took my Heidi Swapp mat and trimmed it down so that it would fit inside of my small MISTI. And I took the foam out. I actually cut a strip off of my mat and I cut it into 3 pieces. And these 2 pieces pretty much are the thickness of that foam that's normally in there. So deciding on the one that I wanted to stamp, get him up here, and I'm just going to use a little dewdrop ink pad, and this is the Memento Tangelo. Use whatever colors you have on hand. I'm just going to ink up my bunny. It doesn't matter if I don't get him covered the first time because I am going to take my paper to the bunny. And you would want to do this about 5 or 6 times. I think this is 6. We'll see. Then I'm just taking my piece of card and I'm just going to lay that on top. Burnish that. Being careful to always keep one finger on so you don't accidentally move it. Now for the reveal, I will just hold the tip here, come up to the corner and lift it up and off, and there he is. Then it's just a matter of trimming him out.